My particular concern is complex around people with cognitive impairment. One, there are a lot of reasons why this structural ableism impacts particularly on people with cognitive impairment, who quite often arbitrarily sort of have their status changed to do not resuscitate in the medical arena when they're undergoing procedures for things other than their cognitive impairment. So there's a judgment that their lives are not worth living, and in this particular case they may not have the voice to be able to voice their own concerns, that they have been routinely denied things like organ transplants and chemotherapy in the past because their lives are deemed not worth living. So it's about access to quality of life before access to choice about dying. And I think in particular when it comes to the amendments proposed to the legislation, where it says excluding disability and in brackets however defined. Well, who's doing the defining? Who's making that decision? And so I am a person with a neurological condition and also autistic, and I'm not going to die from being autistic or having a neurological condition, but the perception of me within the healthcare system is very different to the perception of an able-bodied person. And my choices are restricted, and because I've also been in the psychiatric system, that means that every time I go to get healthcare, I'm flagged as being a psychiatric patient, so that my access to healthcare is diminished, or it's all got to be in my head. So from a personal perspective, there's always a lot of what we call diagnostic overshadowing, where you don't get access to good healthcare because you have a psychiatric or cognitive impairment, and people see that before they see a health condition. And then when people are trying to access health care treatment, they're often denied it, especially when it comes to advanced healthcare treatment or opting into, innovative trials and things. People with disability are less likely to be accepted into those innovative trials for a range of reasons. One, because they might be precluded because of their status as a, person with an impairment, but often it's just a judgment about how their quality of life weighs up against other potential participants in trials. And I think, Samantha alluded to the case that's currently in the press, where an entire family has died, the alleged murder, suicide, and the apologists and the justifiers are straight out there saying it was understandable because the children were such a burden.
In the absence of any other evidence of what
In the
family
absence of
circumstance.
any other evidence, it's all been, in this day and age, access to people's Facebooks. Within hours there were entire dossiers on these people's lives, and the fact that it was completely neighbours saying, oh, what a terrible time it was having deaf and dumb children, and totally understandable how burdensome they would have been. Exactly, my cousin wrote on there of her concern about the headline and highlighting children with autism. She's a parent of 3 kids who are autistic, and people jumped on her own Facebook status and said, oh, but you could understand it if they were severely autistic, that they could, that this could be some form of mercy for the entire family. And so, and it's because we have those attitudes in society that we can't support legislation for assisted dying, because the structural issues of ableism haven't been addressed in any way. And we need to look at the entire spectrum of life giving before we talk about life taking.
Kelly, did you want to?